Hello and welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me. I'm Karen the Stitching Owl and I'm coming to you on June the 15th of 2025 from London, Ontario, and I'm sitting here going, that means June is halfway over. I'm just astounded. Time is going by so quickly. I do want to reach out and say Happy Father's Day to all the families. I hope you're celebrating your fathers and those who take on father roles regardless of their gender in children's lives. And we need to remember that that relationship is keenly special, whether that your child is under the age of 10 or over the age of 40 or anywhere in between. The sense of family is terribly important. I know that I'm actually involved with a church where they don't call this Father's Day anymore. They call it Family Day so that it is inclusive of all elements that encapsulate having a loving home. So may today be special to you and your family, however the makeup of your family is. If this is your first time coming, thank you for giving me a try. I hope you'll stick around for a little while and see if I'm to your liking. And if so, I'd love it if you subscribe. I have the best subscribers who are so supportive, and I thank each of you for coming back time after time and leaving me such touching messages. I included a personal message close to the end of my video the last time that seemed to resonate with a number of you, and I thank you for letting me know that it was good for you to hear that message at that time, that it was helpful. And thank you, Katie. You told me that you were sad when my video was over. Do you know what a compliment that was? And from another Flosstuber. Katie is, of course, Jeremiah's mom. Hi, Jeremiah. So let's see what's on my list today. My eyes are a little bit wonky, so I'll go the glasses and we'll hope not to have too bad of a glare. I want to say that we need a moment of congratulations for Amy of Renewing Stitches, who completed her first half marathon recently. I know that you are proud of yourself, as you should be, and so is your family, and all of us celebrate your achievement with you. I know that you worked towards this for quite some time and that it was not always easy. And Amy, we really are also hoping that Texas dries up in your area so that the moving vans can actually get your furniture where you need it soon. Okay, let's talk about the weather here in Ontario. I'm in southern Ontario. My city is the home of Evertote and the home of Stitch It Central. I am fortunate to have them both so close by. Now, I am doing the temperature stitch, the specialty temperature stitch of Stitchin' Mommy, who you see on Flosstube, and I'm enjoying this chart. Now, my last video I did a miss on my temperature stitch because I just had not gotten to it. I have finished all of May with my little rose hearts right here, and you can see that within May, indeed, it was wet, it was chilly. We had 7 days where the temperature at 12 noon was 10 degrees, which is not very high. It really did feel like March lasted 3 months and we never got an April or a May at all. Now, when we got into June, we've had somewhat of a roller coaster, but at least the roller coaster has had some higher hills, including 28 degrees. Now, I'm not fully caught up, but I did want to start in on my rice stitch so that I knew how to do it. And indeed, I love this stitch and can see so many options here again. Like, these are just gorgeous stitches. And no, they don't take much floss and they don't take much time. It's lovely. So this was the day that was 28, 25, 13. Like, literally, we are on a roller coaster here. Now, you may have just seen a different puppy coming by. I do still have Lola, but we have my visiting composer. I don't know whether my visiting composer will let me show you him or not. If he comes over, I'll lift him up. His name is Brahms. Yes, he is the pet of another music teacher. Hi, Pumpkin. Come here. Come here. Come here. Go. Whoop. There he is. So Brahms is a Shih Tzu. And we've had him in and out of this house when his parents go away. His family is in England for a lovely 16 days with their 2-year-old. I'm hoping he travels well. So we have this delightful little character. He's got a little bit of Eeyore in him, and sometimes he sings the blues and is sad. Now I'm going to put him down because he likes to sit with me, but not be on my lap. And Lola is now miffed and might be seen going up the stairs because I picked up the other puppy. Okay, so on we go. Yes. Send a smile. My general focus here has been a little bit different for the last couple of weeks, well, 12 days, because I came to you a couple days late. It is important to me to be able to send my smiles not just to within Canada, but to my friends in the United States and across the pond. And right at the moment, we are in flux with Canada Post, and I'm feeling not completely trusting that things will get where they are supposed to go. And I've been researching different ways of doing this and have several times thought, yay, this is going to work, and then come up against a wall. In one case, for instance, I wasn't going to be giving them enough business in a month, let alone a year, for them to be interested in sending my packages, even though the price was definitely right. It was meant for bigger businesses. So it's incredible how many hours I have put into this. I think I might have somebody who will talk to me tomorrow, an actual human being, and we might be able to get some things sorted out. One of my top priorities is getting a box that is all set up out to Kenzie at Mudpuppy Stitchery, and more about that in a little bit. When I do get all this sorted out, Send a Smiles will go out aplenty. My one smile that was shared is Lisa, of course, of Forest City Stitching. She attended my last Canada Chats and won the game. The game was Name That Designer. I gave out the name of a pattern like Pigeon and Puddle or Pandemic, and said, so who's the designer? And Lisa got the most answers right and received a gift certificate from Stitch It Central. I'm very, very fortunate to be supported by Stitch It Central, and they have provided me with 6 months worth of gift certificates as a sponsor for what I'm doing with Canada Chats. So my next Canada Chats is next Sunday at 2 o'clock, and I hope to see as many of you there as I can. I have had a wonderful response to my video for Canada Swaps 3. Today is the 15th, but I know that by the time this is uploaded and gets to you, it might well be the 16th. I had one of these moments last time where it took over 6 hours for my video to render in YouTube, and then the final process took like minutes. So it was even later than I had expected it to be. So one never knows what's going to happen with your technology. So I'm going to give another couple of days, but I still will have people's information out for favorite season and who you're sending it to in around the 20th. That way you've got a good 2 months plus a bit in order to do your stitching. I'm just going to remind you that my common friends, and I now have a Brahms who's afraid to go up the stairs and he's too heavy for me to carry up. This is going to be interesting. You may hear him sing the blues. We'll see. So my commonly named floss tubers, if I refer to a first name, Lisa is Forest City Stitching, and Laura is Stitching by the Shore, Mary of Mary's Stitching Corner, Kim Contented Needleworker Kim, Amy Renewing Stitches, Melanie and Michael of Uplift Stitches, Katie Jeremiah's Mom, Lee of Stick Strings and Other Things, Charlie Stitching with Charlie, and Karen D, the Twitchy Stitcher. All the links to their floss tubes are going to be in the description box below. And Brahms just made it up the stairs for the first time all year. Wow. I don't know what inspired him, but off he went. Okay, Mudpuppy Mania. Well, it's going to continue into June, and clearly for me, it will continue through the summer because I'm going to be continuing to stitch Kenzie's patterns. I am going to insert a video here that I made last weekend before I put together the box that will be sent out. Past Karen here, recording on Sunday, June the 7th. I want to do a Mudpuppy Mania wrap up just before I send Kenzie her models. So I'm just going to remind you that at the very beginning of May, while I was at Stitch North, I completed a Barred Owl and Blueberries. This has been stitched with 2 strands of DMC on a 32 count even weave that I am unsure of the name. Probably a Pull Stitches product by the feel of it. You also recently saw my finish of Tufted Titmouse, which is on a 36 count even weave hand dyed by Rolanda that is unnamed. So this is 1 strand of DMC over 2 threads. Absolutely stunning colors. And today I'm excited to say I did get Works parakeets done. This is on 40 count Verdal. It is a Roxy Flossco product. And again, I feel that the colors are amazing. So each of these stitches has been done on a different count. And indeed, all of these stitches are Aida friendly. There are no partial stitches to worry about. And I probably should, in the future, do one of these birds on Aida to demonstrate this. So I'm now ready to carefully box these up and take them to the courier, I guess is the word, so that I can track this as they make their way to Kenzie of Mudpuppy Stitchery. I've been very, very pleased to be part of this and have started 2 more. Back to the normal program. So now let's see what's going on. Let's make sure that I don't drop everything. And I'm going to drop everything anyway. I'll leave it down there for now till I need it. Otherwise, I'm going to drop it again. Gravity is strong today. So the question is, what am I doing going forward now that I have those 3 lovely finishes? You saw the last time that I had started Gold Among the Flowers and that it was goldfinches. I'm stitching it on the same Roxy Floss Company 40 count Verdal that is the name Sea Breeze. I actually remembered what it was called today. And it's the same color as the parakeets. The pattern is 91 by 121 and uses 10 colors of floss. I'm doing a full cross and 1 strand. I did have to frog just a bit. I do have this in the correct trajectory. This bird is actually leaning down. There'll be another bird going up. So that's his eye and his beak. And oh, you can see one of the challenges here was trying to get slight yellow variation within this area. And we were playing around with number 17 and number 18, and number 18 has turned out to actually provide that sense of texture that number 17 wasn't quite doing. So Kenzie, let me know what you think. So right at the moment, I am now turning to my next page at 743 stitches, which is 15.91%. And this is going along very nicely. I just had to frog a bit and figure things out in this area so that what Kenzie sent me as the mock-up picture was actually being reflected in my stitching. Kenzie's been delightful to work with. I'm just so pleased. And I know that when I've been talking to Hannah at Evertote, I have been showing her what I'm doing of Kenzie's patterns, and she's been like, oh, that is so pretty. And I'm like, yes, it would be. Perhaps Evertote and Roxy Floss could do a form of conversion for Kenzie. Just putting that idea into your head. Now, I also started strawberries and swallowtail kites. Now, the pattern is 146 by 187 and is in the Raptor series by Mudpuppy Stitchery. There are 17 colors of DMC floss. I'm stitching this time on, in comes the Mudpuppy, on 36 count even weave, hand dyed by Rolanda with 1 strand of floss. And this is one of hers that did not get named. So this is where I am. So you can see I've got strawberries here. I think that looks like a bee. And I've got a snake and the beginning of a tree. Now in her mock-up she had a pink fabric, and I didn't have a solid pink that I felt was working very well, but I thought this one would give some beautiful texture. So I'm hoping Kenzie will like it. And I'm trying to give plenty of room for her to do the fully finishing in any way that she would like. My start here is 1,065 stitches, which is 4.83% of the final 22,056 stitches. And of course, this pattern works very well for the hashtag Strawberry Moon Sal that is popular in June. So there will be more border, but I don't do all of the border at once. So I'll probably extend the border here before I get too much farther over here. So I'm really excited by this and so pleased at how well that 1,000 stitches went in. Now, I do find that stitching on a 36 even weave is quicker for me than 40, largely because my eyes are over the age of 60. These things happen. Okay, so we're going to pop that one down. And now I'd like to do a shout out for the Twitchy Stitcher. Karen D, my friend, has made her very first Flosstube and shows a glorious array of projects. She and I stitched together actually quite a lot. Yeah, she really has become a very dear friend to me. But it is interesting that when you get down to actually choosing the patterns, we don't often stitch exactly the same pattern. Now, I'm behind on 2 that I said I would stitch with her. I do need to start the Canada Day tier tray and a Satsuma Street Noel sampler. After a while, they will get started, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks, but we'll see how all of this goes. But when you look at her videos, you will be seeing distinctly different things than mine. So that variety is really going to make it very interesting for you. I was so pleased with how well her flow was in her first video, and that her lighting worked very well to show the true colors of her pieces. I just want to give a generalized pattern keeper comment. Recently, there was a free update to those of us who are paid either in full with that single payment from way back, or that yearly payment that is now what they are doing. And there's been some discussion that this might not have been their best update. And I was a little confused about what the challenges were that some people were having. So today I was watching Multiple Lanes Creative Brain, where Tanya actually described the problem the best that I had heard. And for the most part, the update isn't affecting a lot of things. What it does affect is heaven and earth designs, apparently. And most intricately, those that are max color, there seems to be some problems, and there might even be problems with page breaks. They have alerted the HAID people, and they do say that it goes into markup XP without any issue, and that it appears it's mostly brand new uploads that are being affected. My Catnap Mini has not been affected, so I'm still going to be able to start it. And as a matter of fact, Tanya started her Catnap in these past couple of weeks. Now she is doing max color, so her job is a little bit more intense than mine, but I reached out to her and she said, "Why, yes, we can stitch this together." So do I need another full coverage right now? No. Will I start it? Yeah. I seem to be in that kind of mood these days. Okay, WhipGo. So my WhipGo board is this piece of paper, and you'll notice that I have added a 1 yellow. That means you will soon be seeing a fully finished object that is something from this board. And that I have added the X for June right here for hands-on design. And it's interesting that I actually have a WhipGo bingo already, and I am all over with my numbers. So I guess I get that new start. Yep, I do. So I have started a hands-on design, and my other one for this month is a Nenny design, and I haven't chosen that, but I want to start it tomorrow, so I will need to start looking it up online. I do have some patterns to choose from, but there'll be a surprise the next time we are together. Now, the stitch that I chose to do by hands-on design was from the Stitching Parliament. It's a set of 4 owls. A group of owls is called a parliament, and that's why they picked that. It was initially released in 2024, where we had a get-together called the Superb Owl on Super Bowl Sunday. They just moved the B around. And if you paid to be part of that, you got these. Now, each of these owls is named, and what they are named, they have a little something like that in the picture. So I chose Threads, and this is the beginning of my owl. Now, he looks a little bit bizarre right now without any eyes, but I can tell, you will know, he's definitely got the great horns. Let me see what I've got here to tell you. This design is 50 by 60 using 15 colors. I did remember to pop this small into my bag when I was out and about this week, so I actually got a really good start on it. I'm at 779 stitches, which is 49.78%. I'm stitching on what I believe to be a 14 count Aida. It feels like 14, and I'm using 2 strands. When I go to Stitch North, I always stop at the sewing spot. She has little piles of 10 ornament cuts that are, you purchase them for, I believe, $12. So this piece is like $1.20. And that gives me a whole lot of different options. And I thought, oh, you know what, a bit of blue here makes sense for the owl who's coming out just as it turns tonight. Now I have an experiment here, and I'd like your opinion if you have one. I wanted the white feathers that almost appear to be like a necklace to stand out. And originally I thought I would do Smyrna crosses. And if this was an even weave, I would have done that. But this is an Aida, and Smyrnas you have to start poking between the holes, and it gets to be sometimes slower than I want it to be. So what my choice was this time was I stitched these, it's winter white DMC, so 3856 maybe. I did those crosses going the opposite direction to what everything else is going to be for the feathers. So at this point I can say I really do think it stands out, and this is called Threads, so you can see he's got a red thread in his beak. I'm just not sure whether that stands out purely because it's white and everything else is forms of brown, or whether it stands out because I stitched them with the X's going in the opposite direction. For me, it slowed me down to go in the opposite direction because my needle naturally does my typical thing. And yeah, so that took some thought. But if you have an opinion, I'm just going to put that forward. Can you see that I did that? Do you think it makes a difference? This here, by the way, is not a crease in the fabric. It just happens to be what was in the dyeing process. I would say that this was the edge of something. I still think it's really cute. So I will start my second ornament tomorrow. And no, you're not seeing the ornament left over from the second part of May. I have put in some stitches, but not enough to make a difference. So I will save that for next time. Okay, that brings us to fully finished objects. Now, number 1 is the extra coloring in my Whip Go. So back a couple of months, so I would have said in April, the designer pull was Mrs. AZ Family Zoo, which we of course know is Allison because she's got a wonderful floss tube. And her floss tube is more encompassing than mine is. I stick like 95% to cross stitch, with occasionally showing something that I'm working on with regards to quilting. Allison does show quilting because she quilts actually as part of her living. She really does. But she also does machine embroidery. She's got marvelous machines. And she also does punch needles. So if you're looking for a multi-crafter, I hope you will give her a chance. So this is Weeby Stitching. So this right here is a little stitchy hoop with a needle and a little design in the center. And you can see that I had fun with my beads and did it all the way around the outside. It's a happy little bee, and my back sort of looks like honeycomb. That was the closest I had. So it's a dainty little thing. You can see it's the size of my hand. And she does have an Etsy shop where you can get beautiful little small patterns that are excellent for smalls exchanges because they don't take long to stitch up. But if you're hunting for project bags, those are there as well as a few other items. My second fully finished item is actually a Christmas ornament. So this was a Christmas ornament that I stitched in December, but I was so busy doing 2 Advent boxes, there was no chance to fully finish it then. I did contemplate saving this for July, but then I was like, no, I've got more Christmas ornaments to finish then. So this is Peaceful Path, and it came out of the 2024 Just Cross Stitch magazine. Yes, you are seeing full coverage. This is the pattern that had the little whoops in that the symbol for white and écru were exchanged. Now, this owl was not so wise and didn't pick up on that. I'd already stitched a good chunk of it when Laura pointed out that it was an issue. And I looked at this and went, I'm not changing now. I'm just going to keep them switched. So my écru and white are exactly backwards. But I think it's okay. Now on the back of this, I put a piece of navy felt, and then I used 50 weight Aurifil, which is just a sewing machine thread, to blanket stitch around the back of this so that it wouldn't show on the front, that you only saw the cross stitch. And I will say the hardest thing about fully finishing this is that you've got, because you stitch right to the edge, if you're wanting to not have any fabric showing, getting this absolutely square, yes, tricky. Because when, like, I lace it, when you pull it, it changes how everything is, and then you have to redo, and it was a thing. And my last fully finished is Aurora by Pigeon Coop Designs. You watched me stitching this for a while. I did this on an 18 count Aida, and I used 2 strands, and so this is where every person has to decide what's perfect for them. A lot of people enjoy doing 2 strands on 18 count. I found that this particular 18 was tight enough that it was actually quite tricky to do, so it slowed me down. But I like the effect. So here is my Aurora. I did start this in 2024 specifically because of all of the Aurora Borealis that we could see throughout Canada and well into the States. Now when I fully finished this, around the outside I used a dark purple pearl cotton, number 8 weight, and I just used a blanket stitch, and on the back I used something that would come across as blue so that it would go into this blue that I used as the background in case it showed, which doesn't happen to, so I'm okay. But if it showed, I wanted it to be the color of the background so that it wasn't terribly noticeable. So this is, as things go, one of my bigger ornaments. So it might be more like a sun catcher that I keep out of the sun. but it is lovely, and I do know that there are different people that have discovered that they really want this book, and that I'm not the only one now who's going to be stitching that, because I hadn't seen anybody else stitch the Aurora yet. That is the end of my fully finished objects. I had hoped for more, but sometimes life happens. I have another shout out for Stitchy Sam from Australia, who has 5 videos and is thrilled to have reached 100 subscribers. She has a wide range of pattern styles, from something with very small motifs to a couple of the larger Haid patterns. She enjoys taking part in SALs and, of course, WIPGO. Now, finished objects. So this is where I had hoped to actually fully finish both of these, but that's not what happened. So the last time we were together, you saw the beginning of a chameleon from the Summer Just Cross Stitch, summer that 2025. And I was stitching this with Laura and Charlie. Charlie had just had a birthday, and this was an element of nature. And what I find interesting is that Laura, Charlie, and I are all choosing not to stitch the whole pattern, but each of us is ending up doing a different amount. So this is my finish for the chameleon. The chameleon is in the colors that are stated in the pattern. The flowers, not so much. And there was a flower, I think this yellow one over here was supposed to be something with leaves that sort of made it look like a rose, and I didn't think it fit the shape that I wanted. I wanted this curve at the top and a straighter bottom, so I left out the rest of the circle here and I changed that one flower. But isn't this really a cute chameleon? And of course, in this household, we now call him Camo. I suppose it could be a her. We'll choose to think this is an androgynous chameleon. So this was really fun, very easy, very quick, and like a palette cleanser if I'd just done like 250 ninja stitches in a full coverage. Now, what is my other finish? Well, it's actually a start and finish. So I have a pattern, and I'm just going to do one zipper. This is a tiny modernist pattern about bees. Now each of these ones are just about 50 by 50, and then these are like micro smalls. They don't take any time at all. So what I did was I chose to do this guy over here. So I'm just calling this Bees and Honey number 1. I stitched this one on another ornament cut from the sewing shop. It feels like a linen that is 36 count, and like 18, I prefer to use one strand, and here it actually covered very nicely. So there is my Bees and Honey number 1. I do plan to do more. Mostly called for colors. The blues that were part of this particular flower, they were just sort of melting into the slightly pink background. So I made them a mauvey blue instead, and just enough to make it noticeable. I love that the beehive entrance to the home is a wee heart. So, and when you look at this, the one strand of floss, it looks good. The black part of the bees, they're fine. The outlining of the bees you can see. So I'm really happy with this. Now, one of the reasons that I picked this up right now is that Laura had a prompt stitch a bee. There are 2 bees. And Laura also had a prompt saying something from a dad joke. So on the internet, of course, if you put in Father's Day jokes, you know, you can get one that says 20 Father's Day jokes, all the way up to 150 Father's Day jokes. And some of them seem specifically to do with fathers, and some of them are just more generalized jokes. And the one that I chose that goes with this guy is, what do you call a beehive with no exit? Unbelievable. A bit of a groaner, which is why I think it works as a Dad's Day joke. So those are fun, and I will pop another one into Pattern Keeper. It doesn't take me long to put in this size of a small, and then stitch it up. Don't know if it'll be started before next time though. Okay, works in progress. So everyone knows that I have been doing the patchwork calendar that was provided to me by Sarah, the Huga Stitcher. Do I have a pen? Of course not. I'm just going to have to remember Huga Stitcher. So there is a patchwork box for each month of the year. And this month I am not doing June at all. I'm doing January. Now, I did not show this last time because I hadn't really stitched on it. This time I did carry it to different appointments because I didn't want to carry my tablet. This is my one that is not been put into Pattern Keeper. And I got it to a little over 75% done. I have to finish this pomegranate and put in one more peacock. This particular, each month I'm doing a different variegated floss. They are not consistent in their brand. This one happens to be DMC 4504. I think it was probably meant for a Christmas, but it worked well in this particular pattern. So if I show you theirs, you can see why I picked that particular variegated floss. They really did show a mossy green and a red. So I think it's pretty close, and I'm well on the way. It would be lovely if that got finished this week and I could go on to the very next one, although it might not be July. We'll see. And now, Heron at Dawn by Pigeon Coop Design. So I'm stitching this with lots and lots of friends like Mary, Laura, Melanie, and Connie, and they are of course all finished. And I'm not quite as far along, but that's okay. I have quite a few stitches that I'm stitching on all at the same time. So sometimes I have to rotate things and I don't get as many hours as I'd like on each individual one, but it works out. So I'm stitching this with one strand of DMC on a 40 count Verdal that is a hand dyed by Rolanda that does not have a name. So the sunrise or sunset, depending on how you look at this. Well, I guess dawn would be in the morning, wouldn't it? Okay, it's sunrise. Is subtle here on the variegated mauve background. But you can see we no longer have a flamingo. He actually has two legs to stand on. Some of the grass has been put in and more has gone into his wings. So at the present time, I have 2,431 stitches of the 3,188 that will finish it off. I was hoping to get it to 80%, but I did not. I'm close. I'm over 75%, but I didn't get it to 80%. Now, staying with my Pigeon Coop designs, I realized that a lot of times I only do one of a designer at a time, but well, now I've got a second Pigeon Coop on the way, and it is Boreal Bounty, and I started this past Thursday with Charlie and Connie and Mary at our online stitch session. This is a pattern that is circular within a 79 by 79 grid using only 6 colors. All of us made excellent progress in a very short period of time. So this is actually the side of the circle, and it will go up here. This is the widest part with the trees, and then it will go down here. Now this is a parchment 20 count Aida. I'm using 1 strand of DMC, and yes, with Pigeon Coop designs, I normally try to do the called for colors. Because there's not that many colors, I feel like the mood created, if I start playing around with it too far, could be sidetracked. So there's a lot of the like 500, 501, 502 type colors in here, and I find it very effective. So, oh, actually this isn't 20 count, this is 18 count. I had a friend at my stitching group on Saturdays, Linda, who gave me a bag of cloth that she didn't feel she was going to be able to use because the stitches were too small for her now. And this is a nicely pliable Aida cloth. It doesn't stand on its own. Now, I have completed 1,128 stitches since Thursday, and I only stitched on it Thursday and Saturday. So it's a quick stitch. It's like this color goes all the way across. This color goes all the way across. And I know that some people go, oh, that's blocky, and I get tired of that. Okay, I understand that. But in here, there's enough to think about with the pattern that I don't personally become bored. But to each his own. And I'm always saying, you be you and I'll be me, and it all works out beautifully. Now, we go to the floor. This week on Wednesday, I had a start. And I was really pleased to reach out to Sally of Flossy Sews and Grows. I guess a couple months back, I said that I had purchased a Love Poppet design and that I thought she had announced that she had just purchased the same one. Could we start it sometime close to the beginning of summer? And we thought that this past week was the perfect time. So we are doing Going Coastal, which is definitely like a summertime pastime, which is one of Laura's prompts from of the summertime. And I will put a picture of it up here. And this is how far I got. So you can see these two tiers. There's a little bit that goes down into the waves of the lighthouse, the beginning of some grass, and the beginning of waves. Now, this little bit of wave I'm going to have to take out because it is 1 thread too low. It's supposed to be up against the grass, and it is not. So I was just glad that I didn't just keep stitching and then find out that I was off. So I'm lucky it's just about 20 stitches and I'll be able to do that. So Love Poppet designs are incredibly easy to read and they flow very naturally. I have stitched 515 of 3,316 stitches, which is 15.5%. I will have to minus 20 stitches, but I'll subtract them out and add them back in for the next time. This particular piece of fabric is a 40 count Verdal called Summer Sky, and it's hand dyed by Rolanda. And I now have a Brahms at my feet. I won't try and pick them up again. So now, because this is Love Poppet Designs, we are stitching this together in the hashtag Best of British Sal. So I hope you'll check out Flossie Sews and Grows. She's had a lot of wonderful British patterns that she has been showcasing from a wide range of designers, and they're all lovely. Now, next we have Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. They are on Etsy. And again, this works for a Best of British Sal. Now, if you want to see Cabin in the Woods finished, go see Stitchy Sally. I'm not sure if it was the last one or the one before. I think it might be the one before where she showed it finished. It looks beautiful. My friend Mary has it going, and Sally of Flossie Sews and Grows has started it as well. Now, each of us has chosen a different fabric, which means that the effect is quite different. Now, this particular 2-week period or 12-day period, I finished 2 more trees here. I am stitching on a 20 count Aida in the color Charcoal. I can't quite stitch on pure black, but I can see on charcoal, so go figure. So I got those 2 trees in and a couple more stars. I'm planning to experiment and make an oval shaped drum here. Because of that, I'm not going to do all of the borders, and I might not do any of them. I'll play with this and see. I think I just heard Kim cheering. No borders, go for it, Karen. I am truly enjoying the shapes of these trees, and the coloration is so beautiful. It works on so many different fabrics. Now this week, I will be starting on Thursday with Laura and Lee. Shack on the Shore. Look at that, I remembered the title this time. Could not get that name the last time, no matter what. We would love to have more people join us, so feel free. It is a pattern on Etsy, and they do go into Pattern Keeper very nicely. I'm trying to determine which light blue fabric I want to use. I know in an ideal world it would be a 20 count Aida to match this. I might be able to do it. I will try. What's up? Hey, Brahms. There's no mouse. So also one of the things that I'm doing, you'll find that I didn't have today any Year in the Wood stitches. So for a couple of weeks, I will be working on putting the reindeer into my PC stitch so that it'll go into Pattern Keeper. I just find that those patterns are a little bit tricky for me to read in general. So when I'm doing the actual stitching, the back and forth from my eyes to the pattern just doesn't work. So I put them into Pattern Keeper, and it's so much more Karen friendly. And what Lee and I decided that is that Santa has reindeers, so if we do it for Christmas in July, that would be perfect timing. So I'm doing a little bit at that each day and should have it ready for July. Now, Laura's prompt, something with the letter U. The cabin is under the moon. U for under. Yes, I can stretch things. My next work in progress is Boo Spook Haunt by Hello from Liz Matthews. It continues to be a very easy stitch for me. I'm doing it on 20 count Unknown Aida that is a mix of mauve and gray, and I think works for Halloween very nicely. And if I show you this, you'll see I made good progress. So I'm starting into the third ghost of 3. This would have had a black line here. I'm not going to do that. I think there's a spider and a teeny tiny motif over here. You'll see there's little motifs up here. Over here, I've got to finish this particular ghost, and then I've got a big flower and a few motifs. My plan here is to make it into a drum, and I'm still deciding whether I'm going to put the words Boo Spook Haunt up here or not. I'm definitely not doing them down here in the ground. I like just the moodiness of these ghosts sort of floating and having flowers that aren't in the ground either. It makes it particularly spooky. So I will say that I'm not a fan of spiders at all. Yeah, it's cause for me to call somebody from the house to get rid of it. I won't necessarily have them squash it, but we will host them outside. But these spiders are kind of cute. They've only got 6 legs. If I just go close up, there's that spider. You can see he's a spider. There's another guy up there, also 6 legs. So this is being stitched for Halfway to Halloween hashtag that is run by Jason X Stitches. He's also trying to get a round robin together, and it sounds like a lot of fun. So he's gathering names, and he doesn't care what country you're in. I have said to him that if there is enough stitchers in Canada, I'm happy to do a round robin with other Canadians. We just have to have a meeting to figure out what we're stitching on and such, because I don't stitch on linen very well. My eyes just don't seem to do it. So we'll have to figure things out amongst the group. And I'm a little hesitant mailing things around going outside the borders of Canada. I think within Canada, we can trust Canada Post. Fingers crossed. So if you're interested in a round robin, please reach out to him. And of course, watch his Flosstubes. Now, Laura's prompt, something purple. So you can see there's some mauvey purple in the background. The other prompt by Laura is a bug you would see at the picnic. So I'm stretching the elastic really far this time. I did not change the pattern. These arachnids have 6 legs. Bugs have 6 legs. So therefore, this is a bug at a picnic. Why not? And next we have Butterfly and Flowers. It's the Purple Emperor. There is a number of butterflies. I think there's 3 butterflies and a dragonfly by Durene Jones on Etsy. Our charts are 140 by 140 square if you do all of the stitching, but a number of us are doing our own thing with the shapes. So you can see that I seem to be in love with the arch this spring, and that since the last time we were together, I got more of this arch going in for you. My personal goal was to work on the 3 flowers during this 12 days, and I did do that, but they are not finished. Maybe if I'd had the extra 2 days, I would have got them done, but I don't know for sure. So the darker pinks on the outside are in, and part of the center is. So I will need to continue with my flowers, and then right here, this is the shape of the other wing of this butterfly, and then down here you can see a little curve for a mini butterfly. Here I'm going to have all of the stitches on the bottom so that I can make a stand-up out of this. Although I have to admit, there's times I look at this and think, oh, this could hang on the door of somebody at my mom's assisted care living quite nicely as well. It's that in-between size that isn't too big and isn't too small. I'm stitching on a 20 count white Aida. It was a bit crispy initially, but the thing that I find when you're doing full coverage is that you handle the crispy Aida enough that it becomes softer fairly quickly. So I haven't been too worried by this. I am stitching this with Amy, Karen D, Laura, Mary, Rachel Q stitches. We're all having great fun, and we all have it in different spots. I have stitched 7,787 stitches of the 19,600 total. Having said that, I still haven't blanked out these guys at the top. So that is the real amount of stitches that I've stitched, and that's 39.7% of the full pattern. I suspect next time you're going to discover that my completion jumps because I'll just color those in now that I have a sense of what this is. In order to get the arch to play nice when I'm fully finishing and doing my lacing, I'm going to go around and do 2 or 3 more black stitches on all the way around so that I've got room to pull it around my comic book board. For those of you who might be new, when I do my finishes, I use comic book board on the inside. When I lace my stitched piece, I use 2 pieces of comic book board. You can glue them together, double-sided tape them together, or I just actually hold them together now, and it works quite nicely for me. And then if I use a back that is covered by cotton, I just stretch it around 1 layer of comic book board. And if I use felt, I just put the felt right on the back of the lacing that I have already done for the front. So, Laura's prompt, something that brings you peace. This one definitely brings me peace. I love doing full coverage. I like being able to do enough stitches that when you get a length of floss, it's not 100% ninja stitches like some full coverages. Here you actually get a chance. Like when I did the flowers, I put in the black grid for the outline, and then I took the darkest pink and I did the edge of all 3, all the dark pinks, and then I kept working my way in. And in that way, it really wasn't problematic. I could do a number of lengths of floss of the same color and get good progress in a fairly short session. My next work in progress is Rainbow Dragon. This is an AI pattern by Artisy. I have been neglecting to say something extremely important, and I do apologize to Andrew. Andrew, the runner stitcher, is preparing for a marathon, and as we all know, you don't just decide to do this and go out and run. You must work your way up to it and enhance your physical fitness in order not to injure yourself the day of a marathon. So Andrew has a grid that you can look at on his Flosstube that I hope you're watching. It was so cute that last video that I watched, his mother bought him a coffee. I thought that was adorable. But what people are doing is they're either stitching, like if he ran 5, I almost said kilometers, I'm very Canadian, 5 miles, then you did 5 times 10, so that'd be 50 stitches. Other people say, well, if you ran for 28 minutes, I'm going to do 280 stitches. There's many ways of doing it, and he's fine with however you want to do it. So essentially what I'm doing is any day he runs, I am stitching and I'm trying to get a couple hundred stitches in the hopes that I finish this when he does his marathon. Now I'm certainly hoping the marathon is not on like the 3rd or 4th of August, or it won't be possible. I need August to do stitching. So I'm hoping it's like the 28th to the 30th, because then I have a chance. So I'm on 25 count even weave, one strand over one, and I feel I've made very good progress. Last week I had the black here, then said that that was the shape of his chin. Well, you can see his chin here, and so that's the jaw, the chin, and then this is his upper, do we call it a lip? And this is, his nose is in oranges to yellow, I think symbolizing that he can breathe fire. So I'm getting into colors that were not in this section down here. This is fully done. There's no confetti stitches left to do. I have been filling it in as I go. I have completed 9,923 stitches of the 26,600 that will be finishing. So that is 37.3%. So my hope, I'm not going to call it a goal, my hope is that I can get to 50% by the end of this month, 75% by the end of July, and 100% by the end of August. If I take longer, it's okay, because I've just suggested to Linda, I'm doing this for her grandson, that I would have it so that she would be able to frame it for her November birthday, where she surprises him with a gift on her own birthday. It's a special birthday, so I think there's going to be a celebration. So that's what my thought is there. Oh, I didn't have a prompt for this one. And as always, my final one is By the Shore by Kaplan Dorr, charted by Stitches So Beautiful. I continue to make really good progress, but it might not show as much this week. So, this is where I am. Last time I had started the tree and had the edge, so really what I was doing was trying to get as much as I could all the way up so that you could see where the sky finished. As a matter of fact, I zeroed out one, count them, one color that is in the sky. So some of the other colors peek through the leaves, but the deepest blue is now finished. So if I come up close, yes, you're seeing that I grid my fabric with actual cotton and just cut it before I stitch. You don't want to stitch through thread because you can actually make it impossible to pull out. But I'm perfectly content doing the gridding myself. So I have to here solid and to here solid. So there are confetti stitches in here. So if I pull it back, I am over halfway done. The halfway point is about here. I'm wrapping some of the fabric around. So that means I don't have an entire 50% solid because there's a few confetti stitches here that I need to do this week to get that accomplished. But I'm well on the way, and a bigger, like that is like a cottage in the distance, and this is a cottage that is closer up. So I'm soon going to have that I'm going to be working on here. So at this time, I am at 103,763 stitches of 164,994. That means I am at 62.89%. For my Laura prompt, her first one on her list is something squishy. Now, when you walk along this side of the shore, it is grass and weeds in like a little swampy area. It isn't a beach, and as such, it is squishy when you walk there. You know I'd come up with something. Now I'm just going to give you a small alert at this point that normally in months with 5 Sundays, I do not do a video on the 5th Sunday that is letting you know how I'm doing with my stitching, but the 5th Sunday here, I am going to do a regular video in 2 weeks. Yes, there are still a number of videos extras that I am hoping to do pending dental visits with my mother and helping friends out who have siblings in the hospital. But just the way things fall in the summer, I think it works out best for me to keep every 2 weeks, and so I shall. I will not be doing a mid-year whip parade, but I will be doing a 6-month summary so that you know how I'm doing with my progress through the year. I knew I was going to be a little bit long today with how many things I was showing, so there is not as many shout outs. I have written down more people. I'm just going to save them for next time. My moment for music is a little bit different today because you're not going to be watching me. Fingers crossed this works, because Brahms' owner is somebody that I have worked with so that she could take over some of this teaching as I stepped back from it last year. She has been such a supporter of me as a musician. Previous to the pandemic, so 6 years ago, I started a festival in November called the Canada Music Week Festival. And that first year, I did it for my own students and invited a few of my pedagogy students to put in their own students as well. And it was a one-day event. In the hands of Ilana, I passed it off as I stepped back. She has made it into a longer event, still celebrating Canadian music, which means that there are times everybody has to play one Canadian piece and then one other piece if it continues the way I set it up. Now, in the festival in springtime, it is competitive. Canada Music Week Festival is not competitive. It's for the experience only, and we bring in a Canadian composer to be the adjudicator. Oh, Brahms is doing the stairs again. Yay. She had a pair of boys who are brothers who did one of my compositions in the festival, and they earned the right to go to the provincial level of competition. So you are going to hear their presentation into the next level of competition. They recorded it in their own home. They have a beautiful place to practice. I think you're all going to go, wow, that looks wonderful. The piece is called the Tarantula Dance. Now, so when I spell, it's a takeoff of a tarantella, which is a tarantula dance, which means it goes fast and furious, and is nothing like what most of the pieces are that I play for you. But I have been taught by my husband to have a sense of humor. And since the word ant is in the middle of this, the ants go marching one by one, melody will be heard, and there may be a spider climbing up the water spout. So they really get this going quickly. It doesn't take long for them to do, even though it is quite demanding. So this is the Tarantula Dance by me, Karen Rowell.
My name is Nathan, and I'm Ethan, and we're going to be playing Tarantula Dance by Karen Rowell.
And I just want to say thank you to each of you who have given me the most precious gift of all, your time, your support, your friendship, and your love. I feel it every single week. Your comments are so precious to me, and I just look forward to getting to know you more, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you. So I do hope that as you watched and had floss, needle, and fabric in hand and made something beautiful, that you made yourself happy. Take care of you so you can take care of others. Bye-bye for now. We'll see you in 2 weeks.